everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. Where can rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
And welcome to this week's weekly recap, and thank you all so much for the positive responses to both the coaching video and the last episode on YouTube. Right now, I am in the preliminary stages of doing the Mike Schmidt offensive line video. School has started up for me, so I wouldn't exactly expect that video to come out anytime soon, but know that it is being made. It is being made slowly, but it is indeed being made. But for this weekly recap, we have a few transfer portal ads to mention, then women and men's Catsketball. Let's go ahead and dive straight in to the football additions, the first of which, chronologically, being the addition of Brandon White, a wide receiver from Hawaii, who his biggest calling card to me is not only his speed, but he made one of the most bonkers catches I have ever seen in the Hawaii Bowl up against Cal. Those are his calling cards. He had a ridiculous catch, and he's very fast, which to me, I don't think the one thing we were lacking was like speed per se, but maybe true deep threat. Because I think Isaiah Williams might be deep threat / gadget guy. I think Brandon White is more true, defined deep threat with at least proven production.
Yeah, I think that you're right. Isaiah Williams does have that deep threat element to his game, and he can be good at that. But he's not necessarily a burner. Whereas Brandon White, that really is what the crux of his game is structured on, is the fact that he runs in the neighborhood of a 4.3 40-yard dash. He's incredibly fast, and started his career at Kentucky, which I think that makes him the second Kentucky transfer that we've picked up. But he's coming off of a actually pretty productive season at Hawaii, where he had a really great bowl game performance as well, as they said. So, yeah, I think this is a solid ad to expect some production out of for next year. And I don't know if he'll end up being a starter or not. Probably not, but he should be somebody that we can rely on.
I mean, good rotational piece, and I think at worst probably could be a kick returner or a punt returner, just because, speed, 5'9" receiver, those tend to be your kick returners. But the next addition for K-State is more offensive line depth, this time in the offensive tackle position. That's Tyler Johnson from Auburn. He actually has some playing experience, a little bit of playing experience at Auburn, but is coming in as, I believe, a redshirt sophomore, maybe a redshirt junior, depends on how they calculate it. But this is big, strong guy, offensive tackle depth, maybe someone that we can stow away for next year to get more playing time, because right now the tackle room looks weirdly crowded. Pastore, Hawkins, Fitzpatrick, now Johnson, among other guys that have been developing. But this is I think the way to liken this would be to go back to Terrence Enos. Hopefully he is better than Terrence Enos, even though Enos I don't think was awful. He was just not great. But it's Enos with more years of eligibility.
Yeah, I think that's maybe a decent way to put it. He's played the past 3 years at Auburn, but he's never played more than 100 snaps in a season. His best year was 2024, I should say. He played 92 total offensive snaps. And his run blocking grade was excellent, 87.3, but a pass block grade of 34.7. And then both in 2023 and this past season in 2025, he put up 0.0 pass blocking grades. Not on a ton of opportunities, but still it's something that if you kind of connect the dots and just follow Mike Schmidt's pickups, we've really been putting a lot of focus on the run blocking when it comes to these transfers that we're picking up, which is a decent thing, because for really 10 of our 12 games this year, the run blocking was just inadequate. But it is something to think about, pass blocking throughout the or for next year. Maybe something to kind of keep tabs on in regards to how effective it'll be, because a lot of these guys that we're bringing in did give up, at least in the smaller sample sizes, a lot of pressures relative to their pass blocking snaps. It's not something I'm like super worried about. Like for Tyler Johnson, it's not the biggest concern because I don't think he'll start, but it's something that I think that, I don't know, if we're going to put a disclaimer on these offensive linemen that we're bringing in, pass blocking might be the place to start.
Yeah. And that kind of tracks with at least the advanced analytics or any of the analytics for Mike Schmidt's offensive line. I do think that there is something to be said specifically with Mike Schmidt's offensive lines of the past about how putting them in obvious pass blocking situations is making them play left-handed. And that's assuming they're right-handed. I say is there is a lefty in the recording room right now. So if you're left-handed, it's playing right-handed. And if you're ambidextrous, this analogy doesn't work. So I'll go more into that. But the final pickup is Makari Bodiford from Memphis. I think this is a walk-on ad. And if it's not a walk-on ad, I mean, it's a perfectly fine, like, power back ad. It reminds me a lot of a smaller Antonio Martin, because if you turn on what little film exists of Bodiford's game, he is slow. He is really slow, but he's extremely powerful, which, screams short yardage back or someone who can get sort of dirty yards. To me, it's like diet, zero sugar, great value Rodney Fields. And, there's a place for that on the roster, especially when we were down to like 4 running backs. But this is a depth ad. Like, that is the best way to describe it, is depth.
Yeah, I'm with you. It does seem like this is a walk-on ad, just kind of based on some of the context around the commitment. And then also, he didn't produce at a super high level at Memphis. This year, he produced less than he did last year, which some of that is just because I think he might have redshirted this year. He only played the first 4 games. But yeah, his film, he's definitely not a fast running back at all. But honestly, like, he was a bit better than I was expecting, based off of his raw numbers and the fact that he's such a late ad. That's not me saying that I think he's going to be like pushing to like break into the 2-man rotation or anything. But I think that he could be someone that could situationally contribute for K-State. And I imagine that's kind of what we're going for with him, is bring him in and hopefully he can stay healthy and fill the role that Gabe Irvin might have filled for this year's squad if he hadn't had to medically retire. But yeah, Bodiford, solid running back for a walk-on. Allegedly a walk-on, like actually really good pickup. Even if he weren't a walk-on, though, I'd be fine with this. I'd kind of shrug my shoulders and say, okay, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. And to me, I would almost guarantee that's K-State done in the portal, especially since there is no spring window anymore, unless something like crazy comes up and they begin starting to get linked with someone who has like a decently high pedigree or someone that they just do a really quick eval of. I don't think that's on the horizon, but I guess you never know. But all in all, I'm extremely happy with the portal class. Obviously, I think we'll end up doing at some point, our recruiting rankings eventually, closer to June, which is when we tend to do them. But yeah, I'm happy with the portal class, and I'll let you get the final word on that before we start talking about the women's team.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this portal class as well. Obviously, I think in terms of top flight talent, I think we lost more than we brought in, which I think that once Jason, Romaine, and Osunsami Nobiaizo were all announced they were leaving and there was no shot of getting them back, I think we were always going to really struggle to bring in an adequate amount of talent to one-to-one replace them. But there's a ton of potential in this class, and some of the high-end guys I am honestly really happy with. Edge rusher in particular, I think we reloaded there a lot better than I was maybe expecting, especially because those two big ads and Hill and Gregory came so late. But otherwise, I think that we filled out the roster pretty effectively across most positions. I'm really curious about the offensive line and what we'll see there. And I could have done with maybe one more interior defensive lineman, but I think like about 99% of schools would also be okay with that as well, because you really just can't have enough unless you're Georgia. So,
God, they've just been hoarding them, which
and it's not fair.
It's not fair, but I mean, when has fairness ever stopped college football recently?
True.
Yeah, if we wanted to do our law school thing, we could start talking about the Darian Mensah saga. I really don't want to do that right now. So
I'll pass.
Yeah, that's okay. Now we can start talking about the women's team, who had one very big victory and then one sweaty victory, which, again, team could lose and beat anybody, but they go down to Lubbock to face an undefeated Texas Tech team, and they end up beating them 65-59. And honestly, just about everyone, I think, had, if not a complete, full, good game, had their moments of being good in this game. But if you look at the stat sheet, you'll see that there is no one player that just outright head and shoulders above everyone else. I mean, I'll go over the starters because Tess Heel played 38 minutes, 4 of 10 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3, perfect 4 of 4 on her free throws, though she didn't get like 20 in a row like she had that one game against Houston. 4 rebounds, 3 fouls, 2 assists, 4 turnovers, 3 steals for 12 points. Gina Garcia goes 28 minutes, 5 of 6 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 foul, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, a block for 11 points. Terrence Ives had another very high volume day, 25 minutes, 3 of 10 from the field, but 3 of 7 from 3, 2 of 2 on her free throws, 3 rebounds, 2 fouls, no turnovers, and 11 points. Again, seeing Taryn get more rebounds than assists will always be crazy to me. Nastia Klassens goes 32 minutes, 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 4 rebounds, 4 fouls, an assist, a turnover, a block, a steal for 7 total points. Yes, that is indeed a stuffed stat sheet. And then riding off with the starters is Janessa Cotton going 7 minutes, 1 of 3 from the field, 0 of 2 on her free throws, 1 rebound, an assist, a turnover, a steal, and 2 points. So there are a total of, 3 of the starters got into double digits. There were 4 total who got into double digits, but no one dominating performance, which to me is, with this team in particular, normally I'm like, okay, whatever it takes to get a victory. But with this team in particular, seeing it like multiple players step up and be big pieces is so encouraging for a team this young.
Yeah, I totally agree. This was like the definition of a team win, because pretty much everybody had a big moment in this game. Some of the bench players in particular, I thought, had some massive moments and may have been the reason that we won this game down the stretch. Tess Heel, of course, has kind of been our go-to player in these late game gotta have it situations recently, and for good reason. The Nasha Klassens had a good game as well. Gina Garcia was very effective as a point guard, getting into double figures. But getting into these bench players, though, Jordan Spicer, she went 4 of 6, 3 of 4 from the 3-point line, and then had 7 rebounds to go with her 11 points and added a foul, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, a block, and 2 steals. So Jordan Spicer stuffing the stat sheet, which we love to see. But one of those threes was a huge go-ahead 3 in the last 5 minutes of the game. Then Brandy Harrod played 23 minutes, 2 of 6 from the field, 1 of 1 at the free throw line, which has been a big struggle for her this season. So her converting on a big and 1 late was also a huge boost. And she had 6 rebounds in this one, and 2 fouls, an assist, a turnover, and a steal, 5 points. So Brandy Harrod still developing her scoring, but just such an effective rebounder and athlete that it makes it tough to keep her off the floor. Maybe the biggest surprise of the game, particularly late, is Ramaya White, because she started playing a lot more instead of Janessa Cotton to just match up with Texas Tech's center Texas Tech's size down low, just because she's the only one that really can. So only 1 of 1 from the field for Maya White, but she made 2 massive free throws in the final stages of the game, and that was huge for us. She also had 5 rebounds, 2 fouls, did turn it over 4 times, but her for 4 points, we needed those very badly. And she played admirable defense as well. So big shout out to Ramaya White playing a big time 12 minutes in this one. Then Azella Arenas, not her most efficient day. 15 points, 1 of 7 from the field, of 1 from 3. And then 3 rebounds, 3 fouls, 1 assist, 1 turnover. So just 2 points for her. And then Anaya Foy, 3 minutes out of 1 foul for her.
Still doesn't have a roster page, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but yeah, Spicer and Foy, or Spicer and White in particular, really, really important off the bench in this one for K-State.
Yeah, and going down and beating an undefeated squad in their home stadium, it was actually a pretty, I'll give credit to Texas Tech. It was actually a pretty good environment. And I'm not just saying that, normally whenever you say that, you have to come with the unfortunate caveat of it was a good environment for a women's game. No, this was just a good environment for down in Lubbock. So I'll give them credit for that. I will not give them credit, however, for complaining on Twitter, which seems to be like their bread and butter nowadays. It really is amazing how Texas Tech saw the unlikability of Texas and Oklahoma in the final years of them being here and said, hey, we should do that, and then did that, and it's really sad. But the next one for K-State, this one is win, lose to anyone. K-State beats Houston, but only by 4. The reason why I say that win, lose to anyone, Houston is winless in Big 12 play, and they are a grand total of 6-13. This is ideally one that you want to kind of run away with a lot more, just because Houston is not good. And I can say that now because we don't play them again, so there is no curse here. But yeah, this, in a perfect world, you would like to see them have more control of this game. But I think a big reason why they didn't was young team, threes weren't dropping very much.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good analysis. The shots were not dropping. The defense was a bit hit and miss early in this game. And then even later in the second half, Houston did kind of go on a hot streak, particularly their one of their seniors, Kendall Hunter. She went 5 of 9 from 3, while the rest of the team did 2 of 14 from 3. So that's just kind of tough to defend at times. But yeah, K-State still managed to hang on against a Houston team that, I don't often say this because A, it's a cliche, and B, a lot of times it's just not true, and it's just something that people say to make a team feel better. But this Houston team is actually better than their record. like I do pretty firmly believe that, because it is something that, like, commentators will just say, like, like, oh, this, like, K-State basketball team's a lot better than the record. Not really, no. But
No.
talking about the men, that is. But no, this Houston team is actually probably a lot better than their record says they are. Plus, it's also really a game that they were really up for, given how they were kind of honestly on their way to beating us in Houston a couple weeks ago before that crazy sequence with 5 total ejections, but 4 of them coming from the Houston side, including some of their key players. So they probably wanted this one pretty bad as a revenge game. So they definitely, I think, wanted it. So that made this game even tougher. But there were some huge performances from kind of our proverbial top of the lineup in this one. So I'll roll through the starters here. Nasha Claessens, she goes 35 minutes in this one, 7 to 12 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, and then 1 of 1 on her free throws. And then that's 16 points for her, 6 rebounds, 3 fouls, 1 assist, and she did have 3 turnovers, but she was being used a lot more in this game. So a pretty effective game for Claessens. She had a few errors here and there, but still did a good job with her scoring in this one. And she's been more useful in the post just because we really have just needed more post presence. So we've had to kind of use her maybe more there than we'd like. But Tess Heel, a very efficient game for her. 32 minutes, 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 2 on her 3-point shots, 5 of 6 at the free throw line for 15 points, 3 rebounds, 1 foul, 4 assists to 0 turnovers, and 4 steals on top of it. So wildly efficient day for Tess Heel, such an effective player who's really blossomed as conference play has gone going. Terrence Sides, 29 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Missed her 1 free throw, which is pretty unusual for her. But 6 rebounds, 2 fouls, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals, finished with 14 points. One of those steals was what ended up being a very important steal. Just before halftime, Houston was getting ready to hold for the last shot, and she went and swiped away a lazy pass as they were trying to get their set ready, and took it down for an easy layup. And that ended up, I think, really kind of helping us down the stretch. Gina Garcia, she had another good game. 5 of 8 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3. 1 of 3 at the free throw line, so not great there. So 11 points for Gina. 2 straight games in double figures. 3 rebounds, 2 fouls, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, and 3 steals for Gina. She's really, I think, starting to settle in a bit more as the season goes on, and is kind of getting back to that early season form that Ace and I are so excited about after she slumped for a bit. Then Janessa Cotton round out the starting lineup. 19 minutes, 2 of 5 from the field, 2 rebounds, 2 fouls, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and a steal. 4 points for Janessa. She takes a lot of mid-range jumpers, which annoys me.
Yeah, that is you and I's least favorite shot, basketball.
Yeah, it seems to be the only one she's like consistent at because she can't really step out and take threes, and she gets blocked a lot in the post. So mid-range it is for Janessa Cotton, I guess. But
yeah, but in terms of bench production, not really as much as we're used to. Jordan Spicer plays 19 minutes, 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3. That's going to happen with the young shooters sometimes. 3 of 4 from the free throw line. Did get 4 rebounds, 2 fouls, and assists to 2 turnovers for 5 total points. Anaya Foy plays 11 minutes, 1 of 2 from the field, 2 of 2 on her free throws, 2 rebounds, a foul, 2 turnovers for 4 points. And then Azalea Arenas and Brandy Harrod, neither of them end up scoring, though Arenas ends up with an assist, and Harrod ends up getting credited with 2 rebounds, 4 fouls, and 3 turnovers and a steal. So it really is sort of top heavy, and that's fine. It makes sense that the 3 most experienced women on the roster are the ones that are going to make it top heavy, which fine. You're going to have some nights you're going to have the young core not really be on their game. So you need the the elder stateswomen to step up, and they definitely did it in this game. And the next matchup for the K-State women, or I suppose next matchups, are this Sunday in Lawrence up against KU, which is the only time that K-State will be playing KU this weekend. Of course, indeed, I am joking. But then they play Colorado next Thursday. So after, that's going to be a late night recording for you and I, buddy. But
yeah, that's a Zy Walker revenge game as well.
That's right. I'm going to leave that alone. But all in all, I'm happy with how the women's season is going. Right now, I still agree with Connor's assessment from last week, where it feels more like an NIT team than it does an NCAA team, or an NCAA tournament team, I should say. But we take those, honestly.
Yeah.
Not because, we have to be settling for mediocrity. But I think just about everyone on this roster can come back in one way or another, except for maybe Tess Heel.
Yeah, this is Heel's last year.
Yeah, no disrespect to Tess Heel, but losing one piece out of the rest of the young roster, outside of Taryn's a junior. I think Nastia Klassens, they ended up ruling, was a sophomore or a junior.
I think she's a junior.
Anyway, next year, everyone is it's another one of those big window years, I suppose you could say. Though, again, it depends on how recruiting finishes up for this year, if we get anyone other than Maddie Vickery. But given we only have one senior on the roster, I don't think we're in a position to recruit over anyone else. So, but yeah, I think that this is a good spot. I think that the women's team is on track for where they should be, and I think they are showing growth. Who isn't showing growth?
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
The crazy thing, you mentioned my take on the NIT, and I still feel like that's the most likely destination for this team. But after the Texas Tech game, they actually worked themselves onto the bubble. The most recent bracketology from Charlie Cream, I think, had K-State in the next four out. It was either next four out or next four out. I can't remember. But those wins over Ole Miss and Texas Tech are doing K-State a lot of good right now. And I think if K-State's lucky and they continue to play well, they could end up sneaking in as the sort of team where the committee looks at them and say, yeah, they really kind of bungled some games early, but they're, I think, one of the second most freshman minutes in the country, and gelled later and when it mattered. So maybe that ends up making K-State kind of an attractive team to sneak in like a 10 or 11 seed after all, which I kind of mostly written off. But yeah, that Texas Tech win, which I had no faith that was going to happen. Like, no disrespect to this women's team. I was a hater. I did not believe in you. And
I'd like to apologize. I was not familiar with your game.
Yeah, so if they can play at a consistently good level the rest of the year, maybe they'll sneak in. I still think the most likely outcome is that they end up being a relatively highly seeded NIT team. But we'll see.
I think what quietly might be very important, and it seems strange to say this, especially given it's been this case for about 2 or 3 years now for the K-State women team, where you kind of have to carefully watch what happens in the Big 12 tournament, because we were one awful Big 12 tournament last year away from probably hosting. I say awful in relative terms. And then we ended up having a decent, not amazing. I think we lost to Texas the year before that, still end up getting the host. Right, because that's when the Colorado bus almost ran me off the road on the way back to Topeka. Yes, I still am bitter about that. But it might be a third year in a row, honestly, fourth year in a row, where we're carefully watching what's happening at the Big 12 tournament to it. But this year might be the one that we're not watching it necessarily for seeding. We're watching it to see, okay, do we work our way up from the bubble?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we can do that. I'm trying to kind of stymie my expectations right now because I like there is like that voice in the back of my head that says, remember what we do every year in February. And it's January 22nd. So by my calculations, February is pretty close. So if we can shake those bad spirits of February away, then maybe we'll I'm stand a better shot. But I'm still in wait and see mode, I guess, with this team's destiny.
Yeah. I'm not in wait and see mode with the men. They lose to Oklahoma State in Stillwater by 1 point. I'll give them credit for having it only be a 1 point loss. Probably should have ended up forcing overtime, almost certainly. But what do you want? It's to the point where, what do you want us to say? We could say the same thing for every single game, except for one, which is the next one that we're talking about. PJ Haggerty had a good game. Abdi Bashir had a good game. Pick anyone else on the roster and say they had a good game. You have three that had a good game, and we still lose.
I feel like you're forgetting an important detail from this game, Ace, at the very end, where we should have won but fouled on a three, and they made 3 free throws and won by 1. Like I feel like that's the story, right? Like this is Abdi Bashir, who we know, like knew coming into the year, is like a bottom 10 defender in the country, still is, and potentially his last act as a K-State Wildcat will be fouling a 3-point shot to lose us a game, because he has gotten surgery for a stress fracture in his foot. So he did not play the next game, but we were up. We were winning this game 83-81 after PJ Haggerty made a jumper with 49 seconds left. Oklahoma State missed a 3, got a rebound, missed a 3 again, then got a rebound out of bounds. And then with 2 seconds left, Abdi Bashir fouls and they drill 3 straight free throws. And then we obviously lost. Like we lost by 1, but this is a game we should have actually won this game.
Yeah.
But regrettably, as much as winners win, losers also lose. And it was just destiny for us to lose this game. Find new and creative ways to blow it.
Yeah, to me, it's almost impressive how we have managed on multiple occasions to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I wouldn't even call it the jaws of victory anymore. I think it was like halfway down the gullet, and we just reached all the way down and grabbed the L.
We had to intubate to grab defeat from the canal of victory. Like I'm like, this would have bugged me a lot more if I really actually cared anymore at this point in the year. Like, luckily, we have finally reached the point where losing for the men just doesn't really bug me that much anymore. And I can tell it's especially bad this year because I didn't know we were playing KU until like Tuesday of this week. I did not know that game was this Saturday. And factor fan apathy with the like snowstorm of the century that's supposed to happen this weekend, like there might be like 18 and a half people there counting Willie. So we're in a bad way, man.
Yeah.
Inshallah, we turn it around this Saturday, but I have no reasonable faith.
No, you don't have crazy faith either. You just don't have any.
No crazy faith, no reasonable faith. Like, just sad, man.
You got a Tang theist here.
Yeah, he's going to throw me in the penitentiary.
We had a recent release from the penitentiary because Andre Kostic actually played in a game that we won. yippee, we beat Utah by 3 at home on our home court, and Utah is also bad, and we only beat them by 3 on our home court. So this was a cellar dweller battle here between the two. And again, it's the same thing it always is. PJ Haggerty had a good game. Now it's not Abdi Bashir, it's David Castillo had a good game. Pick a random third player, they had a good game. This time we won. Congratulations. And we saw Andre Kostic, who actually looked pretty decent, which makes me think that Tang just hates people from Eastern Europe.
Yeah, it would help if Kostic was not a revolving door on defense, because otherwise I do think he'd play more. But yeah, he offensively looked really assertive, I thought, and there was a few plays where he had a missed layup and fast break where it's I think if he played more, I think he had been confident and experienced enough to convert that. But yeah, obviously, if you want to make exceptions for this game, I'm not really feeling generous enough to do that with this team. But if hypothetically I were, it would be we were missing a lot of players in this game, which is fair. And in a normal season, I think I would give some grace for that. But we already were bad. So if anything, it's shocking we won this game anyways. But yeah, this game kind of did come down to two really great players on two really bad teams going back and forth. And PJ Haggerty finished with 34. And then Terrence Brown for Utah finished with 33. And then Terrence Brown had 2 Robins with him who scored 15. And PJ Haggerty had 2 Robins with him, Castillo and Nate Johnson, who had 20 and 17, respectively. Although Castillo did most of his damage in the first half. He only had 3 shot attempts in the second half. I felt like we maybe should have done a little more for him, but it's fine, I guess. But yeah, you can tell this team was definitely shorthanded. Any time that Taj Manning starts and plays 35 minutes, you're typically going to be pretty grateful to come away with a win in that situation. All due respect to Taj Manning.
Yeah, and CJ Jones, the possession stops with me, Jones, playing 32 minutes for 2 points. To me, at this point, you're not going to be able to stop people from scoring, so you may as well just go all in and just make everything a track meet. Which, again, this is me just finding excuses to get Andre Kostic onto the floor, because at least when I see Andre Kostic touch the ball, my first response isn't, well, get back for defense, boys.
Yeah. And it unfortunately only works if the team you're playing is also bad at defense, which is Utah. But we tried that strategy against Arizona and just ran out of the gym and had commentators kind of treating us like a YMCA boys team. All right, guys, trade wristbands, everybody gets a chance. This was at least for bits and pieces of the game fun to watch because it was high pace, high energy. I would have cared a lot more if this team was any good or had any reasonable chance of doing anything in the postseason, but we just don't. And it's making it harder and harder to justify watching. I'll probably continue just because I'll feel like I'm a bad fan if I don't. Even though that's completely ludicrous, but I've drilled it into my head, and unfortunately the made-up rules that exist for me and me alone don't allow me to not watch.
So this is out of personal curiosity. When you watch, do you do the exact same thing that I do? You have watched me watch basketball both in person and on television. You know that normally when I'm actually engaged, I'm pretty emotive, and that's just in general with me watching sports. The duration of the season this year for the men's team, I will legitimately be sitting on my couch I will watch a big three get hit or K-State take the lead, and I will just stare blank. Like I have the Vietnam 1,000-yard stare, not emoting at all. Is that also your response to watching this team?
Honestly, recently, because we've been so bad, I've been oddly more comfortable being emotive because it has reached the level of so bad it's just kind of funny for me, which I haven't really hit that point other than kind of a little bit last year and the COVID season. The COVID season, really the duration of it from like the beginning of conference play to the end of the year.
That includes football, man. Like
Yeah.
the COVID year.
Yeah, like that the whole year just sucked. But yeah, I'm still not like crazy emotive. That's just not me. But like it almost feels like a weight off my shoulders to just not to have any emotional investment in this. Like I know if we lose, it's not gonna like mess with my mood off and on the rest of the day. It's like, yeah, that was exactly what I expected.
It's like
So
that tracks.
that's it. I have nothing else to add.
Yeah. Anyway, the next games for the men's team are up against KU on Big Boy Fox in Bramlage. I will not lie to you and say that I have any optimism. I will say, however, it would be funny. But
it would be so Jerome Tang to win this game by like 8 convincingly. So
and I can't even say like with last year. And the next game, by the way, is West Virginia again on FS1 on Tuesday. This team doesn't have the vibes of last year's team where you and I called it like 2 games into the season. I think you and I both said, yeah, this team could suck for the rest of the year. This is the most beat KU in Bramlage team perhaps ever. Lo and behold.
yeah, that was an easy call last year, honestly. Like that team had BKU at home all over them. Like this year's team, it really doesn't feel the same. It just kind of feels like I'm like projecting that to like make myself feel a little better about what's about to happen to us. But if the lone thing working in our favor here is that Darren Peterson might not play because he hurt his ankle against Colorado, and then Bill Self also like. I'm just not going to go there. Bill Self is dealing with stuff, and
I recognize that what I'm about to say comes from a clear place of bias. However, for the good, God help me, KU can get like the next best coach in the country. And if it means that Bill Self retires for the good of his health, because don't get me wrong, I am a hater. I am a certified, verified hater of the University of Kansas. I'm not going to watch someone like die on the courts over it.
Yourself, man. This man has terrorized me my entire life. For the record, that's a joke. I don't wish death on Bill Self publicly, at least. But
publicly,
but at least we can pat ourselves on the back now. Like sidebar here, the most annoying sports fans ever are like when a good player for a team gets hurt, and then they're like, as a like fan of X rival team, like I'm not a bad person and I don't think this person should die. Everyone please clap for me. Those are some of my least favorite sports fans. I just had to get that out there. I felt it was relevant.
No, and that's reasonable, but I do think that there is a distinction between like, oh darn, I'm so sorry that you guys like, I'm so sorry that this player got hurt. To me, that's like, I'm not saying you should celebrate it, but you don't need to apologize. Like you didn't Tanya Harding this person to club their knees. Like that's not something you did. But you can still acknowledge like, yeah, that sucks. If it happened to anyone else, I'd care more. Yeah, do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, nothing else. I don't think. I just I cannot wait for the Batcats so we like have something else to talk about, man.
Yeah, I agree. Batcats, Pete Hughes, save us. But Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to follow or contact the show, you can follow us just about anywhere at Aggieville Alleycats. And if you want to email us, we're AggievilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I am at ACEdward00.
I'm at Connor Baltzler, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out the official Aggieville Alleycats merch store, link found in our podcast and Twitter bio. But most importantly, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. Where come rain, shine, or anything between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.